Discover the incredible moment when my daughter-in-law revealed. Love is greater than sarcasm. The clinking of forks filled the air as Sarah set the table, her heart racing with the weight of the evening ahead. Jake's voice broke through the humdrum of their small suburban kitchen, revealing he had a girlfriend. Her name's Emily, he announced, his teenage grin lighting up the room. For Sarah, that smile was a double-edged sword. Who was this Emily? This girl who strutted into their lives with her sparkly dress and polished manners. Was she another reminder of how far they had to climb? As Jake continued, Sarah's chest tightened. A sharp retort bubbled up, ready to deflect the surge of insecurity threatening to spill over her carefully crafted facade. And does she come with a trust fund, or just a solid gold heart? She quipped, her voice laced with a blend of humor and bitterness. Jake rolled his eyes. He had learned to interpret his mother's sarcasm by now. Dinner had transformed into a battlefield. Emily was set to join them for dinner, a dreaded encounter. As the doorbell chimed, Sarah's heart raced not with anticipation but with anxiety. The moment Emily stepped in, the air thickened. She smiled sweetly, her demeanor poised yet bright. "Thank you for having me," she said, her warmth almost sickeningly genuine. Sarah's instinct was to arm herself with more biting comments. The sharp wit was her shield in that moment, and awkwardness settled like a brick on the table. As they exchanged pleasantries, Sarah couldn't help but notice how effortlessly Emily plugged into Jake's life, making jabs and light-hearted comments that almost worked. Sarah fired back, quick as her thoughts. "You know, we don't need any more Amazon boxes piling up in this house. I'm pretty sure we have enough stuff already." Emily tightened her jaw, but the girl was resilient. "Well, I think memories are more important than things," she countered with unexpected grace. A moment passed, filled with a palpable tension that burned in the air, thick like the scent of burnt toast from earlier. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue." Days turned into restless nights as Sarah's emotional turmoil deepened. She couldn't shake the feeling that Emily threatened the fragile bond they had. That was until the community charity event changed everything. There was Emily, leaning over a veteran, her eyes bright with understanding, her hand resting on his shoulder like the warm sun breaking through gray clouds. Sarah felt a void open. Could it be that this rich girl possessed more depth than she'd given her credit for? As the night unfolded, tangled emotions bubbled up beneath her skin. How could she have misjudged Emily? The preconceived notions she had clung to began to crumble, shaking Sarah to her core. The week that followed was tense as unresolved feelings hovered. Contemplating confession, Sarah confronted Emily, unleashing her fears and insecurities. "You come from privilege. How can you understand what it's like to struggle?" she demanded. But just as Emily opened her mouth to reply, a moment of upheaval threatened to derail their fragile connection. As Emily flinched, something unexpected flickered across her face, pain and strength, both flickering like small embers in a larger fire. In the heart of it all, they both stood on a precipice, raw and exposed. But would they find a way to bridge the divide? Or would the tides of misunderstanding pull them apart for good? The tension hung in the air like a heavy fog, stifling any hope for easy conversation. Emily took a steadying breath, her eyes narrowing slightly as she processed Sarah's words. "Listen, I understand where you're coming from, really," she began, her calm demeanor almost maddening to Sarah. "But we all have our battles, no matter where we come from." Sarah felt her resolve wavers. It was hard to argue against the genuine warmth in Emily's voice. Yet her own hurt and fear hadn't dulled. "Is that so? You think it's the same? You've never had to worry about making ends meet or skipping meals," she shot back, but her voice quaked slightly. "True," Emily conceded, her eyes shining with unshed tears. "But my life isn't as picture-perfect as you might think. I lost my dad when I was young. It shattered my world. You couldn't buy away that pain." A silence engulfed them, filled with an unspoken understanding, and the echo of their stories colliding. For the first time, Sarah saw a glimpse of a girl who could also be a daughter. Her heart wavered between empathy and defensiveness. What if opening up meant tearing down the last walls she felt she had to protect herself? Jake, sensing the weight of their conversation, leaned forward, eyes darting between the two women. Mom, maybe you should listen. Emily's been there, you don't have to keep going on like this. His voice was soft, but it hit Sarah with surprising force. She could feel her son's love for this girl radiating through the air, and it stirred something inside her. What I'm saying is, Emily started, hesitant but steady, we all deserve to be understood. I want to be a part of your family, but it's hard when I feel like I'm not welcome. Her vulnerability hung over the table like delicate lace, beautiful yet fragile. The emotion crashing through Sarah felt indomitable. She had held too tightly onto her fears, her sarcasm a flimsy armor that was cracked and rusted. I don't want you to feel unwelcome, she found herself admitting, her voice trembling. It's just you're so perfect and polished. I don't know how to be anything other than what I am. A smile broke through Emily's nervousness, softening her features. You don't have to be perfect to be loved, Sarah. I'm not here to replace you. I just want to be a part of your son's life and yours too. There was a sudden lightness in the air, a flicker of hope as they both took a small step forward, closer to understanding. Sarah wanted to embrace that hope so completely, but responsibility pulled her back. It won't be easy. I've always kept people at arm's length. It's how I've survived. Emily nodded, I get it. But maybe it's time to let a little warmth in? The honesty hit Sarah like a wave, crashing over the doubts she had held tightly. Her heart fluttered with a mix of fear and exhilaration. Could she really let this girl in? What would it mean for her relationship with Jake? The sound of laughter from the living room pulled them back to reality. They were still standing on that precipice, teetering between fear and hope. Just as Sarah opened her mouth to reply, a loud crash echoed from the other room, cutting through the moment like glass shattering. Both women winced, eyes wide, instantly caught in the chaos of family life. What now? Jake muttered, scrambling to his feet, with laughter still echoing faintly through the house. Sarah felt her heart racing once more. What if this isn't the end of ours and her journey? How many more surprises await us? They exchanged glances. The next few moments would unravel everything. Jake bolted into the living room, leaving Emily and Sarah in the kitchen, both still buzzing from their fragile recognition. The sound of things clattering to the floor reached them, a wind-up toy before a storm. Sarah felt a jolt of anxiety. Keeping things together was her role, but now the dance of emotions had become muddled. Everything okay? She called out, already moving toward the chaos. Then the sight hit her. The coffee table had flipped over. A collection of photographs and family mementos spilled out, haunted fragments of moments long cherished. Jake stood there, sheepishly treating the toppled table like a guilty secret. His cheeks flushed pink. I was just trying to, he stammered, glancing accusingly at a particularly wobbly leg of their old table. Trying to be graceful, right? Sarah shot back, her voice cracking with a mix of dread and humor. That broke the tension. Jake laughed, a bright, honest sound that swept away the lingering heaviness. It spread through Sarah like sunlight creeping into a dark room. Emily joined them, peering down at the scattered memories. What are these? She asked, and her voice was light, sidestepping the seriousness that loomed over them just moments earlier. Sarah knelt down, fingers brushing over a photograph of a younger version of herself with Jake as a toddler, cheeks pinched and giggling. That was before I knew how to be a mom, apparently. The reflection surprised her, igniting a bittersweet smile. Why do I have no idea you were ever that cute? Jake chuckled, mock seriousness etched over his features. But behind his eyes, Sarah saw it, the love for the girl next to him, and it filled her heart with warmth. Emily picked up another picture. A glimpse of an old family camping trip, grinning faces, arms wrapped around each other, the kind of warmth that melted away hurt, at least temporarily. You guys look so happy, she said, her gaze lingering on the picture like it was a lifeline. Those days seem so far away sometimes, Sarah whispered, the nostalgic pull tightening around her heart. Jake glanced at her, concern flashing over his face. But we can make new memories, can't we? Yeah, maybe. The thought teetered in Sarah's chest, both thrilling and terrifying. Let us grab the pieces and put it back together, Emily suggested, determination washing over her face. The warmth in her smile radiated, and to Sarah's surprise, it felt comforting rather than overwhelming. As the three of them started gathering the scattered remnants of their lives, the air shifted. Laughter emanated from Emily as Jake proclaimed himself the master of piecing together memories. Each quip and gentle ribbing turned the tide, replacing worry and fear with a blossoming camaraderie. But just as the conversation turned light, Jake's phone buzzed insistently on the coffee table. He reached for it, glancing at the screen, his expression changing from lightheartedness to surprise. "What is it?" Sarah asked, her heartbeat quickening again at the prospect of another disruption. "It's from my dad," Jake replied, a note of disbelief lining his voice. "He wants to meet." "Meet?" Sarah echoed, the weight of that word settling over them like a fresh tension. Emily frowned slightly. "Meet about what?" Before Jake could pull the message up, Sarah felt the edge of panic swirling inside her. Would this meeting shatter the fragile peace they had begun to build? "I don't know. I have to find out." Jake's resolve settled. As he rushed away with his phone, Emily and Sarah exchanged a glance, one brimming with questions. Had this moment really just begun to weave the threads of family back together? And now a shadow loomed over them, threatening to draw it all away again. Sarah's heart raced anew, not just with concern but with a curious glimmer of determination. What would this new meeting mean? Would it push them further apart or draw them in closer? In that moment, she realized she was more ready than she thought to face whatever came next. "What do you think it's about?" Emily asked, her voice full of anticipation as Sarah looked at the girl, who might one day be family. She felt a fierce protectiveness surge within her. "Whatever it is, we'll face it together." And just like that, the winds of change began to whisper in the air, hinting at a deeper connection waiting to unfold. What awaited them all on the horizon? As Jake disappeared down the hallway, the door to his room closing quietly behind him, a tense silence enveloped the living room. Sarah glanced at Emily, who was still staring at the coffee table, half-heartedly stacking the overturned photographs. The lively energy they had just shared felt like an echo, fading rapidly into the background. "Do you think he'll be okay?" Emily asked softly, her fingers curling around a picture of Jake's graduation, where he stood beaming in his cap and gown. Sarah shrugged, her emotions a tangled knot in her stomach. "I hope so. I hate that it seems like every time things start to feel good, something comes along to knock us down again." Emily placed her hand on top of Sarah's. "But maybe this is different. Maybe it means something good is coming, like a chance to understand each other better. Or it could be more chaos," Sarah muttered, pushing the scattered pictures back into a neat pile. Despite herself, she felt the tiniest bit of hope unfurl in her chest. They had faced chaos before and come out the other side, hadn't they? Suddenly Jake's voice floated back through the corridor, muffled but urgent. "Mom, I need you to hear this." Sarah and Emily exchanged glances that were almost comical in their unspoken apprehension. Smoothing her hair back, Sarah stood straighter. "Let us see what he has to say." As Jake emerged from the hallway, his face was a storm of conflicting emotions. "Okay, so my dad wants to meet tomorrow. He said he has something important to discuss about us." "About us?" Emily said, confusion painting her features. "Why would he want to meet about us? What does that even mean?" "Exactly," Jake replied, his own confusion mirroring hers. He really elaborate. Just said he needed me to be there." "Maybe it's about getting to know me better?" Emily suggested cautiously, a hint of hope blooming in her voice despite the uncertainty that loomed over them. Jake frowned, the concern twisting his brow. "I don't know. He hasn't exactly been interested in my life lately. It's been complicated." Complicated. The word hung in the air, heavy with all the things left unsaid and unresolved. Sarah wanted to comfort him, to tell him it would all work out, but she felt just as lost. "What if it's something bad?" Sarah finally said, the words tumbling out before she could stop them. "What if he wants to take you away or try to control everything again?" "Mom, you're being dramatic," Jake protested, but she caught the flicker of fear in his eyes. "I'm just being honest," she shot back, uncharacteristically heated. "Maybe we should just take it one step at a time," Emily interrupted, sensing the rising tension. "Whatever it is, we'll figure it out together." Jake looked at her, eyes softening. "Thanks, Emily. I appreciate that." The room fell back into a quiet moment, each one lost in the brewing storm of possibilities. Just remember, Sarah finally said, her grip tightening around the pictures they had just organized, we've been through so much already. Whatever happens next, we will stick together. Promise. Jake nodded, though doubt still lingered in his eyes. Just then Jake's phone buzzed again, a new message lighting up the screen. He was quick to check it, face clouding as he read the content. It's from him again. Don't open it yet, Sarah urged, the panic rising anew. What if it's more bad news? But before anyone could voice their concerns, Jake's brows knitted together, and he murmured, I think he's coming by tonight. The moment seemed to grip them all, the reality of Jake's father looming closer. An onrush of emotions filled the room, each of them contending with their fears and hopes. What now? Emily asked, voice small. Now, Sarah breathed, determination bubbling to the surface. Now we prepare to face him. Together. As Jake stared at the glowing screen, uncertainty etching lines in his face, Sarah clenched her fists, readying herself for whatever lay ahead. Was it possible to change a past marked by distance into a future filled with closeness? The evening stretched before them, heavy with the shadows of the unknown. Would they finally stitch together the fabric of their family? Or would the weight of unresolved histories tear them apart once again? And as the door creaked with ominous potential, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that tonight might reveal truths they weren't prepared for. The doorbell rang, slicing through the tense air like a knife. Sarah's heart raced. The sound echoed in her ears, a stark reminder that they were not only waiting for a visitor, but for a confrontation that could change everything. Here we go, she whispered, glancing at Jake. His face was a mix of apprehension and something else. Was it anticipation? Emily fidgeted nervously beside him, her fingers intertwined with his as if seeking strength. Do you want me to get it? Jake asked, voice barely above a whisper. Sarah shook her head, forcing herself to take a breath. I've got this. She straightened her blouse, a simple habit she relied on for courage, and walked to the door. With each step, the weight of her past with Jake's father lingered in her mind, memories of anger, of disappointment, of dreams that never materialized. Would tonight be a chance for reconciliation or simply another round of hurt? As Sarah opened the door, her breath caught. Mark stood there, his appearance as unkempt as the last time she had seen him. He looked older and more weary than she remembered, shadows circling his eyes like dark bruises. Hi, Sarah, he said, his voice low and uncertain. No bravado, no false confidence. Just a man who seemed stripped bare of all pretense. Mark, she replied, her own voice steady despite the chaos inside. Come in. She stepped aside, reluctantly inviting him into their space. As he entered, a charged silence enveloped the room. Jake shifted uncomfortably, and Emily moved closer to him, her soft presence a reminder of their bond. Thanks for coming, Jake. Mark finally turned to his son, offering a flicker of a smile that didn't quite reach his eyes. I know this is a surprise. Yeah, surprise, Jake echoed, crossing his arms defensively. Maybe we should sit? Sarah suggested, gesturing to the couch. The whole situation felt surreal, like they were actors in a play whose script was yet to be written. Once they settled in, Sarah took a deep breath. What did you want to talk about, Mark? She kept her voice level. Mark glanced down, his hands fidgeting in his lap. I've been thinking a lot about this. He hesitated, as if the words were stuck, unwilling to leave his lips. I know I've messed up. I haven't been there for you both. And I wish things could have been different. Jake shifted again, brow furrowed. What exactly are you trying to say? I want to be better for you. I know I can't change the past, but maybe I can start to be a father for you now? The sincerity in Mark's voice almost caught Sarah off guard. It was a plea, a breakthrough moment. Sarah's heart softened a little, but it was guarded. And what does being better look like exactly? It means coming to family events, getting to know Emily, being there for you both. I want to hear how you're doing. I want to be in the picture instead of the shadow. Emily spoke then, her voice surprisingly steady. You mean you want to be a part of Jake's life? After everything? I messed up and I've been running from it, Mark admitted, finally meeting Jake's gaze. But I don't want to run anymore. I want to try. For you. Jake's expression softened, but the caution was still visible. You expect me to just believe that? After everything? The room grew thick with tension. Hope warred with skepticism. leaving everyone breathless. Sarah felt her heart pounding, battling between her desire for Jake's happiness and the pain from the past. "Believe me," Mark said, desperation creeping into his voice. "I know it's hard, but I'm asking you both to give me a chance." Jake looked at Emily, then back at his father, conflicted emotions playing across his face. "Maybe we could start with small steps," Sarah suggested, her heart aching with possibility. She wanted Jake to be happy, and somehow she sensed that this meeting could be a turning point for all of them. But just as a hint of understanding began to bloom, Jake's phone buzzed again, a loud, sharp reminder of reality intruding into their moment. "Who is it?" Emily asked, her voice laced with curiosity. Jake, still staring at his screen, swallowed hard. "It's my friend. He wants to know if I'm coming out tonight." "Jake," Sarah said, urging him to think carefully. This was the moment to confront new truths, not to escape into distractions. As Jake hesitated, each face held its breath, caught in limbo. Would he choose to engage with his father or retreat into the night? And in that pause filled with suspended possibilities, Sarah wondered if they were truly ready to redefine their family's narrative. Would this meeting forge the beginnings of healing? Or would it shatter their fragile connection once more? The air was thick with unspoken words, and whichever choice Jake made next was bound to echo long into their future. The tension felt like a balloon, ready to burst if any one of them dared to say too much or nothing at all. Jake's eyes flickered between the phone and his father. Confusion splashed across his face. Time felt suspended, as if everything had narrowed down to this singular moment. "Jake, you don't have to feel obligated to stay," Mark started, but Jake cut him off. "No, that's not it," he said, his voice sharper than he intended. "It's just it feels like you're offering something, and I don't even know if I can believe it." Mark opened his mouth to defend himself, but the hurt in Jake's tone froze the words on his lips. Instead he nodded, understanding flooding his face. "I get it," he said quietly. "It's going to take time, I know that. I just wish I could change how you've seen me." In that moment, it was as if Mark wore the scars of his past like a badge, visible and painful. Behind Jake's anger, there was a boy desperate for a father he could trust. Sarah's heart ached watching them. She wanted to say something to bridge the gap forming between them, but she sensed the rawness that lay within Jake, a storm that needed to release itself before calm could ever settle in. "I don't want to pretend everything is fine," Jake eventually said, his voice dropping. "I don't want to let you back in only to get hurt again. You can't just pop back into my life like nothing happened." Mark looked down, shame washing over his face. "I know. I've put you through hell, and you have every reason to keep that wall up. Just don't give up on me yet." Emily shifted in her seat, her small hand finding Jake's. The warmth of her touch seemed to provide him a moment of clarity, a flicker of hope. The bond they shared was palpable, a silent promise to stay anchored through the storm. "What if we don't take huge steps?" Emily suggested softly, her eyes on Jake. "What if we just take a moment? Just for now? Even if it's just talking about nothing?" Jake looked at her, the uncertainty melting slightly. She was right. This didn't have to be the end of the world if he didn't want it to be. It could just be a moment, a little flicker in the dark. "Fine. We can talk," Jake said at last, though the resistance was still heavy in his voice. "But don't expect me to jump into this arrangement." Mark nodded, relief flooding through him. "I can handle that. Just tell me, how do I start?" "Try asking how we spent our day," Sarah suggested, feeling a smile tugging at her lips despite the heavy air. "Sometimes just talking about the little things can make it easier." Mark took a deep breath, and for the first time there was a hint of a smile on his face. "Okay. So how was your day, Jake?" Jake hesitated again, looking at each of them, then took a breath. "It was all right. School is stressful, and my friends have been going out more lately. That's why I got the message." They began to talk, tentatively at first, but as the minutes ticked by, the mood shifted slightly. Mark asked about school projects, sports Jake liked, and it wasn't perfect, but it felt like a small step forward. But just as the conversation began to lighten, Jake's phone buzzed again. This time it was paired with a name that made him flinch. "It's my mom," he said, voice suddenly tense. Mark's expression darkened, a shadow crossing his features. "She still talks to you?" Jake met his father's gaze, his heart racing. "Yeah, but it's complicated." Emily frowned, sensing the shift. "Maybe it's time to talk about that too?" The suggestion hung heavily in the air, full of promise and potential danger. Would Jake delve into that uncharted territory? The weight of the past overshadowed the budding connection between them, and Sarah held her breath as they all awaited Jake's response. In this moment where shadows loomed and light flickered, Sarah knew that whatever answer Jake gave next could change everything again, sending ripples through their fragile bond. What would he decide? Jake felt the air grow thick around him as he stared at the screen, the name on the display sparking memories he thought he had buried. Complicated, he echoed softly, the word laced with a weight that made his chest ache. He didn't want to go back there, not now, not when he was just starting to learn how to trust Mark again. Complicated how? Mark's voice was steady, but Jake could see the fear flickering in his father's eyes. He shouldn't have asked, should have let it all slide for another day. Emily squeezed his hand tighter, grounding him and urging him to face the truth. A tide of emotions curled inside him: fear, anger, longing. It's just she's always around when things are bad. When Mom's missing, it's like nothing else matters. It feels like I'm constantly picking up the pieces. Silence filled the room, heavy and unsettling. Jake felt exposed, like he had drawn back the curtain on a part of his life that was meant to stay hidden. Even Sarah seemed to hold her breath, waiting for Mark's response. Mark leaned in, his brow furrowed with concern. That's not fair to you, Jake. She shouldn't put that kind of pressure on you. Tell me something I don't know. Jake shot back, his frustration sneaking out. She's always been good at that, making me feel like a caretaker. Now that you're back, it's like I don't even have a choice. She always comes creeping in. Mark's voice was soft, troubled, as if he were treading on shattered glass. What do you mean she's creeping in? How does she fit into all of this? I don't. Jake hesitated, rage bubbling just below the surface. She doesn't belong in my life anymore. But she calls. She wants to talk like it's no big deal, like nothing has happened. I can't just pretend. The room felt electric, pulses of their collective emotions crackling through the air. Emily's fingers brushed against his again, the small, connected gesture sparking a flicker of comfort in the chaos. What do you want from her? She asked suddenly, her voice unusually steady. I want her to leave me alone. Jake replied, the words breaking loose like a dam bursting. I just want a normal life, you know? Is that too much to ask for? Mark's troubled gaze softened a bit, and he nodded slowly. You deserve that, Jake. We all deserve normal, to have a bit of peace. The conversation shifted around them, all eyes fixed on Jake as the truth poured out of him, deep-seated fears surfacing like ghosts. Feels like I'm always stuck between you two. I can't take it anymore. What if she comes back for real? I can't trust her, she's lied too many times. Mark raised his hands in surrender. Then we face it together. You, me, Emily. Whatever comes, we do it together. The sincerity in Mark's voice stirred something inside Jake, a glimmer of what family might mean. He wanted to trust, to believe that it could be different this time. Sarah searched Jake's face, relief flooding her. You're not alone in this, Jake. No matter how complicated your mom is, you've got us. Just as hope began to stretch its wings, Jake's phone buzzed again. He glanced down, dread flooding through him as he saw the name Renee. His heart sank, knowing he was about to open a door he'd tried so hard to keep closed. Emily sighed, her eyes wide with concern. Are you going to answer? It's now or never, Jake whispered, fear tainting his words. Just remember, Mark urged, no matter what she says, you don't have to react. You've got control over this moment. Jake's mind raced, thoughts spiraling as he stared at the screen, feeling every heartbeat pulse with uncertainty. Could he really answer? What would he say? With a shaky breath, he pressed accept, one finger trembling over the green button, on the brink of a decision that could alter everything yet again. What lay ahead on the other side of that call? The instant Jake accepted the call, he felt the air shift. The familiar sound of Renee's voice flooded through the speaker, delicate and strangely hollow. Jake? I've been trying to reach you. His heart raced. Did it sound different? Softer? Or was it only his wishful thinking? What do you want? His voice came out sharper than he intended, masking the swirl of emotions threatening to spill over. Can we just talk? She replied, a hint of pleading threading into her tone. I know things have been rough. I just want to clear the air. Jake shifted uncomfortably, noting the mixed expressions on Mark's and Emily's faces. The weight of each familiar word felt like a brick, filling the space between them. You think you can just call and everything's fine? It doesn't work like that, Renee. Please, Jake, just listen. With a deep breath, Jake glanced at Emily's reassuring gaze. Maybe he could do this with his family standing close, anchoring him. Fine. Talk, he relented, his heart pounding, ready for the onslaught of memories he could never quite shake. I know I hurt you, she began, her voice low and shaky. I was wrapped up in my own stuff. I didn't see how it affected you. I'm sorry. He could feel the emotions creeping in, threatening to overtake him. Sorry I isn't enough, not after everything. I want to make it right. I'm trying, she insisted, desperation cracking through. I've changed, Jake. I know I've let you down before, but I want to be a better person. For you, for us, it's not just about me anymore. A bitter laugh escaped him. You say that now, but words are just words. You've said them before. Just give me a chance. I want to reconnect, she implored. A soft plea heavy with vulnerability. Jake held the phone tighter, the tension coiling in his gut. There was a flicker of something in her voice, but could he believe it? Did he want to? I can't keep doing this game with you. I shouldn't have to keep coming back to this. Mark squeezed his shoulder, an unspoken support. Jake, think about the good times, Renee said, her voice cracking. Remember when we used to laugh? You were my favorite. I just want to feel like that again. Those times feel like a lifetime ago. Silence ensued, stretching painfully until Jake finally said, Why now? Why not before? Because I was lost, Jake. But I'm finding my way back, just let me try. In that moment, torn between old wounds and a glimmer of hope, Jake's heart began to race even faster. Could this be the moment when everything finally changed? I don't know, Renee, he whispered, unsure about the depths of his own convictions. Would letting her in again only open old scars? I'll show you, I swear. Just give me the chance, she said softly. Jake bit his lip, now balancing on the edge of an impossible decision. What if he said yes? What if he chose to trust her again? The weight of his past loomed over him, but the thought of possibility hung bright like a star. He felt Emily's hand slip gently into his, grounding him as he took the plunge into uncertainty. Okay, let's meet. But on my terms. Anything, she replied, a spark of warmth threading through the tension. As he hung up, Jake's breath surged and tapered. What had he just agreed to? The room buzzed with energy, both excitement and fear knotting in his stomach. Emily shifted closer, her eyes big with concern. What did she say? Jake ran a hand through his hair, feeling the weight of what lay ahead. I said I'd meet her. Mark nodded, his gaze steady. You can handle this, Jake. Just remember you've got us. Yeah, but it feels like I just opened a door I can never shut, he mumbled, staring into nothing. Emily's grip tightened. Maybe some doors need to be opened so you can finally let go of the past. Jake nodded slowly, uncertainty pooling within him. What if this door led to healing or more heartbreak? Only time would reveal which path he had chosen. As silence swallowed the room, Jake couldn't shake the feeling that a storm was brewing, and nobody could predict its course. Would he be ready when it finally broke? The evening stretched on, shadows creeping into the corners of Jake's mind. He couldn't shake the sound of Renee's voice, her desperate sincerity mingling with past heartbreak. The familiar laughter they once shared echoed in the dimness, yet it felt like a ghost behind glass, beautiful, untouchable, and haunting. Mark broke the silence, his voice steady in contrast to the turmoil swirling in Jake's chest. You think she means it? That she's really changed? Jake shifted his weight, his fingers tapping nervously against the table. I don't know, man. It's hard to believe when you've been burned. Emily leaned forward, her eyes reflecting empathy. People can change, Jake. But it takes real work. Are you ready for that? He looked down, wrestling with the weight of their questions. Spending years guarded had turned him into a fortress, but deep down, the longing to feel was alive. Maybe I want to believe she can change. Maybe I want to believe in us. Then you need to trust your gut. Emily responded softly. No one can tell you how to feel. The conversation faded as Jake drifted into thought, memories flooding back. Renee's laugh, their late-night talks, the dreams they created together. Yet loss had crept in, painting those dreams with shades of ache. Mark's phone buzzed, pulling Jake back as he glanced at the screen. The notification flashed brightly, a distraction from the storm brewing within him. You need to figure out what this next step means for you. Don't just leap into the fire without knowing why, Mark cautioned, his heavy gaze shooting daggers through the emotional fog. Thanks for the reality check, Jake replied, his voice laced with gratitude even as frustration bubbled beneath the surface. I'm just tired of the heartache. Then take it slow, Mark advised, leaning back and folding his arms. You don't have to rush anything. Think it through. As night deepened outside, Jake pulled himself away from the discussion, realizing he still had hours before meeting Renee. What do you say after so long? Would he be able to articulate all the hurt that had settled in his bones? He stood abruptly. I need some air. Stepping outside, Jake took a deep breath, trying to steady the whirlwind inside him. The chill of the evening wrapped around him like a cloak, grounding him. Stars brightened the sky, but their beauty felt almost mocking. He couldn't escape from the truth. There was a part of him still clinging to a shard of hope that the remnants of laughter could spark again. But he feared betrayal, reopening wounds that hadn't fully closed. Just then his phone buzzed again. The screen lit up, revealing a message from Renee. Can we meet tomorrow? I just want to talk to show you I'm serious. Jake stared at the message, feeling the familiar pang of conflict wrap around his heart. What would he say? Would he even be able to look her in the eye? The thought of her laughter mixing with tears of regret stopped him cold. Choose wisely, he whispered, feeling the weight of change looming ahead, just out of reach. He turned back towards the house, knowing the decision awaited him like an unwelcome guest. Would he open the door to the past, or was it time to close it for good? As he entered, he heard Mark and Emily laughing, the warmth of their bond wrapping around him like a soft blanket. But his own heart remained trapped in uncertainty, teetering on the edge of a cliff of what-ifs and maybes. Tomorrow loomed like a storm cloud, heavy with potential, and he wasn't sure if he was ready for the rain it might bring. Would it wash away the past, or drown him under its weight? The sun rose, casting a warm glow through the kitchen window. Sarah was there, stirring her coffee and glancing at the clock nervously. Today was the day, a day of potential, a day of new beginnings. The weight of last night's revelations hung in the air like a thick fog, yet hope flickered in her heart. Mom, I'm leaving, Jake called out, his voice a ball of enthusiasm mingled with apprehension. He appeared at the doorway dressed neatly, his nerves barely concealed. The world outside awaited him. Today he would meet his father and perhaps this step could lead to healing. Hang on a sec. Sarah hurried to the counter, grabbing a piece of fruit and rushing toward him. You've got this, she said, pressing a quick kiss to his forehead. Remember what we talked about? He nodded, a flicker of uncertainty dancing in his eyes. I hope so. Feels unreal. It is, but you're not alone in this. You have Emily. Me, everyone is rooting for you. Her words sparkled with warmth, a lifeline as he stepped into the unknown. Just then, Emily entered the kitchen, her radiant smile lighting the room. Ready to tackle the day? Ready as I'll ever be, Jake replied, straightening. The two exchanged an encouraging glance, both standing together on the brink of something monumental as the door swung shut behind them. Sarah felt her heart swell with love and hope. They were taking steps, not just Jake but all of them. She picked up her phone, her fingers flying over the screen as she expressed her support to Jake and Emily in a cheerful message. Half an hour later, Jake sat across the table from Mark, the air thick with words unsaid. The coffee shop buzzed around them, laughter, clinking dishes, but for them there was just silence. Mark shifted in his chair, a nervousness leapfrogging between them like an uninvited guest. Jake, thanks for agreeing to meet. Mark's voice broke the ice. Yeah, well, it was time. Jake felt a shiver run through him, and he crossed his arms tightly. You know it's complicated. I know, Mark sighed, running a hand through his hair. I can't change the past. This is all new for me. I'm not here to bring chaos into your life. Jake watched his father's eyes, searching for sincerity. I don't want to go back to being hurt again. And I don't want to hurt you. Can we just start fresh? Mark said, vulnerability lacing his voice. Jake felt the tension soften, almost like the sun breaking through a storm. Okay, but I need honesty. What do you want from me? Mark took a deep breath. I want to know my son. I want to understand what makes you tick. I want us to really try to be a family again. Jake considered his words. Could he really rebuild this fractured bond? It won't be easy, he finally replied. But I'm willing to at least try. Good. Let us take it slow. No expectations, just conversation. Start small, Mark suggested, relief flooding his expression. Meanwhile, Sarah and Emily waited back home, pacing the living room with mixed emotions. Sarah turned to Emily, brushing a stray hair behind her ear. This is it. Isn't it? They're finally meeting. Yes. And I believe it's a pivotal moment for all of you. It could be the start of something beautiful. Emily spoke with a conviction that made Sarah smile as they shared stories and made light of the past. Sarah felt her heart swell a little more with hope. Back at the coffee shop, laughter began to bubble through their conversation. Jake noticed the change in Mark's demeanor. He was trying to listen, to learn, to understand. They chuckled at a shared interest in movies, each anecdote smoothing the edges of their tumultuous past. Remember that one where the dad tried to win back his family? Jake suddenly asked, teasingly raising an eyebrow. Mark let out a hearty laugh. Yeah, he was so clueless, right? But his heart was in the right place. That laughter resonated, merging like the warmth of the sun igniting the cool morning. Maybe we should pick a movie next time? Jake suggested, an unexpected smile breaking through his reserved facade. Absolutely. It's a date. As time passed, they found themselves diving deeper into the heart of their relationship. Each question led to further understanding, the walls built over the years slowly fading into open air. Meanwhile at home, Sarah felt overwhelmed with joy, knowing their family pathway was starting to mend, day by day. Later, Jake texted them with a simple message that made her heart soar. It went well. We laughed. Tears prickled Sarah's eyes as she exclaimed to Emily, this could be a turning point. They just need to keep talking, to keep growing. Yes, they're already on a new path, and you too, Sarah. Emily chimed, her expression a blend of admiration and encouragement. Outside, the sun set beautifully, hues of orange and pink embracing the horizon, embodying the beginning of a new chapter filled with hope and transformation. Days turned into weeks, and just like that, the family began crafting new memories, a perfect blend of quirks, laughter, and love. Little by little, they stitched together their stories, weaving a tapestry of healing. Sarah tucked Jake into bed one evening. She realized love was indeed greater than sarcasm. It could heal, transform, and reunite. Good night, Mom, Jake whispered, sleep beginning to take hold. Good night, sweetheart, she whispered back, a gentle smile forming. In the quiet of the night, Sarah reflected on their journey, treasuring each moment of growth, each interaction, each connection. It wasn't just a family night going forward. It was a promise of unbreakable bonds, of faces that came together in love. And as she turned off the light, one thought echoed in her heart: this was the moment love was made stronger. Every laugh, every conversation, every second of vulnerability counted. If they could face the past together, there was nothing this family couldn't overcome. Now it's time for you to engage. You need to subscribe now to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like right now to feed the algorithm. Your support means the world. Comment below your reactions and feelings about this ending. I can't wait to hear from you. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to witness this beautiful transformation. Let us spread the love.